1% of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't live the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and then they sent me where the life is be. That level 4 with depth and vice, the type of stuff they like to see. Two choices, fight or flee. I refuse to die a chump. I never been a mark, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get punked, and some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5 year-long racial fights when homie all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, AB skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF, the Kumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. That MS was loony, quick to ride up on they rival. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in they Bible. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damus, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IE, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pyrus, the Hustlers.
Say what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to Life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. Yard down! For those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994, I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. Yeah, that's me gassing the hell out of that intro, man. If you want to get that song, hit me up. It's available on a 10-song EP. You can get it on digital download, or you can get it on a CD directly from me. Cashapp, PayPal, or Zelle me $20, and I'm going to get it to you. My email is 16dalifemusic@gmail.com. That's 16tolifemusic@gmail.com. Now I'm gonna get into this next story right here. Now this is a cold story right here with an unfortunate diabolical twist, man. So let's hop into it right now. I'm gonna tell you a story about when I was in Ironwood with a good friend of mine and my celly, man. My celly's name was Trail. I reached out to him and he told me he didn't mind me doing this story. If I hadn't got his blessings, I definitely wouldn't have done the story. So let's go back, man. I'm in Ironwood, man. Ironwood is a prison down in Blythe, California. You already know what it is. It get extremely hot down there. This is like around 1998. I'm on B yard, you know. And so how I ended up meeting Trail is I'm on the basketball court. I'm out there. I'm balling. I'm doing my thing. In 99, you know, I was probably maybe 26, 27, somewhere around there, 28. So I'm still athletic. Me and my homie, we playing some basketball. It's a few of us. Now Trail was on the sideline. At the time, Trail is maybe about 19 or 20 years old. Trail is from Los Angeles area. He's a non-affiliate, but he real cool. Everybody know him. He's a real solid dude, right? So, and he got a little basketball game. So he on the sideline. He watching us out there play. I'm doing my thing, you know. So he called next. I think we playing like 3-on-3 or 4-on-4. So when him and his team get on the court, he like, oh man, I got him. And this starts the battle between me and my boy Trail. So we out there, we battling, and this turned into something that we doing every day on an everyday basis. We out there playing basketball, you know, having fun. So eventually, me and Trail, we get real cool. I told you guys a story about Simon, and the name of that video was called My Celly Snitched on Me, right in my face. If you ain't seen that, go check that out, man. I'm gonna try to leave the link if I can remember. Anyway, so you know, I'm down there, man. Simon is acting like all funny and stuff. So every now and then I gotta boop pop, bust Simon up, hit him with these lefts and these rights with all my might. So eventually I told myself, you know what, man, this ain't a good situation. Let me get up out of here before I end up hurting this guy real bad and going to the hole and doing, you know, catching some time or whatever. So I moved in the cell with Trail. So this is how me and Trail, you know, we then became even better, you know, better friends. I honestly can say that Trail was probably one of my better cellies that I've had the whole time that I was locked up. You know, Trail was real laid back, didn't care about a whole lot. You know, you got a lot of dudes, man, who they get in the cell, they want to nitpick, they stressing or whatever. You know, Trail was a young fly player, man. You know, he had a whole lot going on in his life, and you know, and he was just a fun dude. You know, he laughed and joked, clown a whole lot of times. You know, we was similar in a whole lot of ways. So we got along extremely well, you know. And so when we would be in the cell talking, he would always, you know, from time to time, you know, talk about his dad. He was real proud of his father, loved his pops very much, you know. And his father was a well-known businessman out there in Los Angeles. You know, he had a lot of car washes, hamburger stands. You know, he owned a lot of different businesses, beeper stores, a lot of different things. You know, his father was a well-known and loved dude out there, right? Periodically, you know, he mentioned his dad and this and that, right? And so in talking to Trail, you know, I remember it as initially I remembered that me and him was still Celly's when this incident took place, but no, he told me that my homie Maniac had moved over there, and Maniac had moved up in the cell with Baby D from A-Trade Gangsta, and me and Maniac was Celly's. So either or, right? One day, he's and me and him, we still cool. We still playing basketball, chopping it up, laughing or whatever, right? And so one day I just happened to be in the day room, and he's over there on the phone, right? Once he hang the phone up, he like, oh man, damn man. He said they didn't kill all them motherfuckers. I turn over, I look at him like, who, man, what you talking about? He like, man, my dad and my uncle, man, they didn't kill all them motherfuckers. I'm like, what? Now, when he said that, he wasn't being disrespectful. That's just the way that Trail talk. Trail is just real. He blunt, and that's just the way that he talk. I go closer to him. I say, man, what's going on? He like, I don't know, man. They said, I just got off the phone with my family. They said they found my daddy. They found him, shot, and they found my uncle, maybe like 8 miles away or whatever. Somebody basically had kidnapped them and tortured them, shot them, and killed them, man. And that's pretty much all that they knew that happened, right? So as time goes by, a year or two or whatever, however much longer it was, I would ask him eventually from time to time, hey man, homie, did you ever hear anything about, people who possibly may have done that to your pops? He was like, no, man, we ain't heard nothing, man. We ain't heard nothing, right? So for a long time, nobody knew anything about it, right? Eventually, Trail ends up leaving and going home, and so periodically I would talk to him every now and then. I had his number. I'd call him, every now and then. I ask him, man, any news on, who may have did something to your pops? He's like, no, he hadn't heard nothing. Fast forward all the way to 2012. I'm in another prison known as North Kern. I happen to get a bunch of LA Times from a dude, right? And I got like 15, 20 of them, and I had planned on reading them. But for whatever reason, I never got around to reading them. So maybe about a month, they still in my cell. I'm getting ready to throw them away. I said, man, I ain't going to read these. Let me throw them away. Then I said, you know what? On second thought, yeah, let me go ahead and read through them, right? And so as I'm reading through them, I read an article about a former football player who played for the Raiders. He was being charged with murder. And what I read is he had been charged with calling real estate agents to houses that they were showing under the guise that he wanted to potentially buy that house, and then he'd get them there, he'd rob them, shoot them, kill them, kidnap them, whatever, stuff like that, right? So I'm reading the article. Then at the end of the article, it says he will also be charged in the murder of Ricky and Kevin Nettles. Now, Ricky and Kevin Nettles were the father and the uncle of my former Celly Trail, right? So I'm like, damn, man, that's crazy. So that's what happened. So it goes on to say in the story that, he had kidnapped them or whatever and tortured them, right? And so after I get out, I happen to see a story on it, right? And it's a cold story, man. It's a whole lot of details, right? And so I'm going to try to give it to you as best I can. And I'm going to try to shorten it because it's pretty long, right? So now this individual, he was born in North Carolina. Anthony Smith, I believe is his name, former defensive player for the Raiders. So he's from North Carolina. He eventually balls out in high school, does well enough to get a scholarship to Alabama. From Alabama, he transfers to the University of Arizona. From there, he's drafted, I believe it was in 1990, as the 11th pick in the very first round, the same year that Emmitt Smith was drafted, and he was drafted 11th overall. So he definitely was pretty good. Once he starts playing by the Raiders, he's balling out. He's doing real good. He is definitely a fan favorite. He's got a lot of sacks, so on and so forth. He also starts to do a little charity and community work for the city of LA with certain communities and stuff like that. And upon doing that, a singer who used to be in a group orchestrated by Prince by the name of Vanity, I believe the name of the group was Vanity 6. She happens to see the community work that he's doing, and she feels that God wants her to meet him. So eventually they wind up meeting and they get married. They stay married for about a year. She said he started his personality change. He got abusive and they ended up getting divorced, right? So he balls out. He plays for a little while. I believe he ends up going to the Broncos, and then every now and then he misses some games or whatever. He gets suspended for missing some games, and eventually he just stopped playing and he retires around the age of 30. So the first time he comes under or he comes on the police radar is in 2003. A furniture store catches on fire. The name of the furniture store, I believe, was Simply Sofa, right? And so somebody goes down there and they firebombs the place. They take 3 5-gallon plastic containers and I guess throw them through the roof or whatever. They firebomb the place. Now, when these things explode, the plastic just so happens to protect some of the things that he used to create the fire. And so once the police get there, they do their investigation. They find 30 pieces of mail. On this mail, it has Anthony Smith's address, or his address and his name, and also some of that mail is in his wife's name. Now, at the time, he happens to be married to a lady by the name of Teresa White, and she is a district attorney. So the police eventually make their way to his house as a part of their investigation. They talk to him. He starts crying and saying, how sorry he was, so on and so forth. So then they stop him. They say, okay, we're going to need you to come down to the police department and make an official statement. Once he gets down there, maybe his wife, the district attorney, maybe she didn't give him some legal advice or whatever. But now his whole attitude has flipped. Now he's irate. He's saying, I didn't do it. I don't know why you guys think that I done it. You guys are crazy for thinking I done this, so on and so forth, right? So they arrest him anyway and they take him to trial. When he goes to trial, the jury it's a deadlock. It's 7 people. It's 7-5. 7 people are voting in favor to convict him, and so they have a retrial. When he goes back to the retrial, this time he gets another deadlock jury, and this time it's 11 for not guilty and 1 person to convict. So he's freed after 17 months, and the district attorney chooses not to refile. The next time this guy resurfaces on the police radar is 2008 for the murder of a dude by the name of Marilio Ponce. They find a body. The dude is burnt up. Looks like he's been shot or whatever. So they happen to find this guy. He has no cell phone. They just find the body. So when they go and check his cell phone records, they see that one of the last people he has been in contact with was Anthony Smith. So then they go to Anthony Smith's condo. They stake out the condo. Eventually, they see that there are 2 stolen cars in Anthony Smith's garage. It's this dude's Navigator and a Nissan Xterra or something like that, I believe was the name of the car. The license plates are switched. They've took the license plates off the stolen Nissan and they've put it on Ponce's Navigator. And so eventually those dudes are arrested. When I say those dudes, I'm talking about Smith, and he had 2 accomplices. So these dudes are arrested. They go to trial. They find his 2 accomplices guilty, and they're deadlocked on whether he's guilty or not. And so he stays in jail. The district attorney refiles on him. So when they're having the pre-trial of the retrial, the district attorney also announces that they are filing 3 more murders on this dude, Anthony Wayne Smith. And so these 3 murders are an individual by the name of Dennis Henderson and Ricky Nettles and Kevin Nettles, the father and the uncle of my former Celly Trail, right? So eventually how the police get on that is they a cold case squad, it starts to reinvestigate the murder of Henderson, who was killed in 2001. So upon their investigation, they go and talk to Henderson's brother, a dude by the name of Barry Henderson, who at one point in time happened to be the next door neighbor of Anthony Wayne Smith, right? And so he says that his brother, Dennis, happened to meet Smith through him. And he said he always felt that Smith was responsible for the death of his brother, Dennis, even though he really had no evidence or anything to prove it. And he said the reason he felt that way is because Dennis told them in the course of their friendship, Smith had took him to a storage locker, a big old giant storage locker. And in that storage locker, they had a lot of guns, a lot of police uniforms, badges, zip ties, handcuffs, security uniforms and things like that. And he told him also, he uses that stuff to rob and kill people. And he had robbed and killed 2 businessmen, those being Ricky and Bo Nettles. So Dennis, through conversation, relays that information, to his brother. So once his brother did come up dead, Barry, the brother of Dennis, he just always felt that Smith had something to do with it. And so The Cold Squad then starts investigating the murder of, once again, Ricky and Kevin Nettles, which happened in 1999, if I didn't mention that earlier. And so at the retrial of Ponce, Murillo Ponce, once again, Anthony Smith, the jury is deadlocked. But so then they go on to the murder of these other individuals, Dennis Henderson, Kevin Nettles, and Ricky Nettles. And so, like I mentioned earlier in the story, Celly Trail, his father, was a businessman who had several businesses. On one particular street, he had a car wash, and then right across the street and down the road a little bit, I believe, he owned another business. Well, one night when him and his brother was leaving, closing down from the car wash, they went to the other business, and the worker who worked at the car wash happened to see somebody force these dudes into a car. At that point, they was drove off, and they never was seen again alive. You know, when their bodies was found, they had like a U-type burn mark on their face. It was obvious that they had been tortured and shot. And so this and a lot of other evidence is what they had against Smith. So eventually he's found guilty of the murders of Ricky Nettles and Kevin Nettles, and also for the murder of Dennis Henderson. So I believe it was in 2015 he was found guilty, and eventually he was given 3 life without parole sentences. So he's never coming home. And so fortunately for my good friend Trail, he was at least able to find out what happened to his father and his uncle and somewhat get a little bit of closure. And if my memory serves me correct, at the time that his father and his uncle was killed, Trail ended up not being able to go to the funeral. I don't know if they didn't allow him to go or whatever the reasons was behind it. And I think for a lot of prisoners and convicts who have experienced this, that's one of the most horrible things about being locked up. In the event you're locked up and someone you love and care about passes away, not being able to attend the funeral, just feeling helpless, not necessarily being able to contribute in any type of way, shape, or form, comforting your family, saying your last goodbyes, stuff like that. And so, yeah, most definitely, that's an unfortunate story, man. Rest in peace to the father and uncle of my partner Trail, man. You already know what it is. It's your boy 16 to life. Resume normal program.